Hi, I'm Samyan.
And I'm Tanuj. And the three of us are going to be talking about fire across the domains of art, science, and mythology in terms of what it means, what it's fire's symbol in different aspects, and the research that we have done. We'll start it off by a question
Yeah.
for each of the three domains.
Yeah.
What does fire mean in all of our domains?
So I would say here, fire has been in a great way to all our domains, and not only the domains just going to speak about here, but also in day-to-day life or anywhere else we see. Like for you can see metaphorically in passion, or symbolically like the use of fire to like control and uncontrol. So like as I'm speaking from the art domain, I would like to say it does not only hold one type of meaning in art. It has two meanings, symbolic and physical. Symbolic in sense of the passion to grow, to not give up and have a consistency. The consistency of a wildfire to always grow and work even when like the odds are against us. And then if we see physically, there's a great use like controlled fire and uncontrolled. Today artists have been using like the fire to like melt iron or like different things or to burn things to take out the beauty from them, like the use of fire to take out the beauty of something to emerge them out.
Okay, in mythology, fire has many various metaphorical meanings, like fire as knowledge and punishment, as creation and destruction, as a gift and a curse. And it has been shown in stories all across ancient times.
I also did my research on mythology, and something that I realized, which is not only relating to mythology, is that the way we're perceiving fire and we're looking at fire in the current age is quite wrong. You know, as Robert Frost said in one of his poems, some say the world may end in fire, some say in ice. But of what I know of hatred and desire, I stand with those who favor fire. Now, the thing he's trying to say here is that the world is either going to end in fire and ice. Like, if I'm to ask both of you, if I say fire, what would be the first thing that comes to your mind?
Heat.
Destruction.
Yeah, precisely. The first thing that will come to your mind is wildfires, it will be weapons, artillery, and destruction. But in mythology, it used to be very different. Fire was used to prove purity, it was used to show renewal, it was even used to, gather people around and use it as like a beacon. And that's really changed. One of the perfect examples of it being for renewal and purification is phoenix. You know what a phoenix is?
Yeah.
So it's this bird that is originated from this Egyptian legendary bird called the Bennu bird. The Bennu bird was kind of like a heron that was related to the gods Osiris and Ra, her sun deities. And I first came across Phoenix when I was watching Harry Potter. So, there's this in the fifth movie of Harry Potter, there's this scene where Dumbledore is there and he's about to get like taken to jail, and then Azkaban, and then Fox, who's the pet phoenix of Dumbledore, comes in, and like Dumbledore claps his hands, and all of a sudden, like he disappears and like runs away. You know that scene? Yeah, and ever since then, I was like, wow, phoenixes are so cool. And when I did more research on them, I realized that they actually have so much power. They rebirth from their ashes. So when a phoenix is about to die, it bursts into flames and it's then rebirthed from its ashes. And a lot of ancient stories also say similar. So there is this ancient Greek geographer and historian named Herodotus, and he had said in one of his stories that a phoenix flew to Heliopolis carrying the remains of its parents to be reborn, and a lot of Roman myths say similar too. So the thing is that now the way we're looking at fire is much different, and also like you said about the symbolism in terms of it being like an actual it being physical or it being more symbolic. In my opinion, mythology has fire more as a symbol than physical.
So here I feel you made a very great point about the phoenix. So here I would like to make a cross domain connection. So if you know, a phoenix is a bird of fire, and it dies every time it comes back. It has a rebirth every time, and the every time it gets a rebirth, it comes out stronger, more beautiful, and more bigger. So same in arts, what we have been connecting it to from so many years. Great artists have said that same fire is here. People say that fire destroys and it's bad, but then the sometimes that destruction is necessary to emerge and take out something more beautiful from that. Just like the phoenix, it though dies every time, but the every second time it gets its rebirth, it gets more bigger, more stronger, more beautiful. So there in arts we have been using that as a theme, that every, even though fire destroys things, it makes something more beautiful emerge out of those.
Yeah, so fire does show death but rebirth as well. In Japanese mythology, the goddess of creation, she was giving birth to the goddess of fire. He was so hot that in order for him to exist, the goddess of creation had to die. Just so, because of that, there were a lot of gods created. So, this also shows that a fire, someone has to die in order for rebirth and creation.
That's true. We'll move on to the next question. If you had to describe fire in one word from your domain, what would that word be? Should I start?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
I would describe fire as the ultimate purifier, or like the final test of your chastity. So, like I said about the phoenix, that is one example of fire being used as rebirth. But another example is in an Indian epic called Ramayana. You must have heard of the Ramayana. And you remember we had that book read in grade 8 in May of
Yeah.
the Hindi Ramayana. So I remember reading about Sita's Agni Parikshan at the time. And at that time, I had thought that the idea of the Agni Parikshan is completely suicidal, because what it was all about is after Sita had returned from Ravan, people had told Ram that she's not very pure. So to check her purity, she had to walk through fire. And if she came out if she came out like in one piece and unharmed, she would be completely pure. And I thought that this makes no sense whatsoever. But then when you actually look at what some of these mythologies symbolize and what they're trying to say, is that fire isn't just what we see it right now. It acts as the ultimate purifier, like I said, and also this parikshan, it shows themes of truth, endurance, and also personal dignity. So when you dive deep into a topic and look at it not just from the surface level, you get to know so much more about fire. So in mythology, or from my research, it has to be the ultimate purifier.
So something great said by you there. So I would say we look to fire as something similar, which is transformation. Every time you see a new fire in a person, in real life, physical fire, or like even in your own self, the growth fire, like the transformation, that if you were lazy at some point and getting really dedicated towards something, like working hard towards it, that what fire like shows us in art, the inspiration. So as people have seen that like some artworks take like years and years to make, or like even a lot of time. So fire shows how you should transform of from one being to other. Even like you said in mythology, the Agni Pariksha, how Sita would have transformed.
Connecting to art, it also shows knowledge and power. So, one of the stories in Greek mythology, Prometheus had built humans. It is said that Prometheus has built humans with clay, but then they were very weak. So, to give them power, he stole fire from the Olympus. So, doing that, he wanted to make humans have power. And when he stole the power and gave it to them, there was also punishment given to him. He was hung to a rock every night, and an eagle used to come and eat his liver.
Yeah.
So it was very painful for that. It shows progress as well, because if the humans had received power of fire, they were able to cook, they were able to weld, which also led to human progression. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to add on to, sorry. I'd like to add on to what you said. The idea of building something with clay, like what does that remind you of?
Growth.
So something that first came to my mind was pottery. Have you done pottery before?
Yeah.
So pottery is when there's like this big spinning wheel. You put clay and then you mold it around. And I've done pottery twice or thrice. And something I've seen is that after you've finished making the thing, you have to actually put it inside a furnace and you have to let it bake. So I think that's what Prometheus tried to do. He took heat and he tried to make humans stronger, or the clay humans stronger. And some of these things that are picked up from mythologies still hold so much relevance, because scientifically some mythology facts might not be true, but others are actually quite true, because putting the clay products inside the furnace does make it quite strong. And you can actually use those clay products later, like a cup or a vase, and it's really, really beautiful as well.
So now I would like to add something new here. Same about how one more word could be there. Some which I would say consistency of be even if you are not able to reach the next level, but not giving up and trying your best. So I would like to make a connection to Indian mythology. So I don't know if you might know, but do you know the god Sai Baba? So
Yeah.
he's a god, and he was first worshipped in Shirdi, India, near Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra border. So it has been said, and even I have visited his temple in Shirdi. When he first came to Shirdi, he had burned a fire there, and it is said that that fire still ignites without getting blowed once. And I have seen it for my own self. So it shows how it might be a controlled, uncontrolled fire, but it shows consistency throughout, like centuries ago, how that fire had remained. So now they have like blocked that room so the someone, a visitor or someone who comes doesn't get hurt. But how it shows even in a room where the fire cannot get out or escape, it still shows consistency to glow.
I think for that, another story in Polynesian mythology. So there was a demigod, Maui, who tricked the goddess of fire, Mahaka. She used to protect fire in her fingernails. So he tricked her to get all of the fingernails. Until the last one, she realized that he is tricking her and then all of the power is going to him. She got angry, and then with that one fingernail, she was about to destroy the entire world. But somehow Maui managed to get it rain, and then it stopped. So the fingernails were hidden in the trees nearby, and in science it's said that if you rub the backs of the trees together, the wood,
Yeah.
fire ignites. And I think that is very much connecting to just because Maui hid the fingernails in the trees, the fire is able to ignite.
This is the same Maui from like the Disney Moana, right? Some of these stories are, they're everywhere. Maui's story in Moana, Norse mythology in Marvel, Thor,
Yeah.
Loki, Asgard, the entire thing. And a lot of these folklores have so many similarities. You said about the eternal fire, right? So there is a similar eternal fire in Norse mythology. Norse mythology is again this Asgard, Thor wala. So it's said that there is this eternal flame that's there, and when you are to put this demon called Surtur's skull inside, he comes to life. And a lot of these stories have, like I said, just so much in similar and so much in common, but we don't really notice it. Okay, we'll move on to another question.
Yeah.
Okay, in your domain, is fire more to do with creation or to do with destruction?
So here I would like to say go first if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So I feel everyone takes two sides always. Like creation is one side, destruction is one side. But have you ever thought from this perspective? If there was nothing like destruction, would there be anything like creation? Or if there was nothing like creation, would there be destruction? Because then everything would be stable and you wouldn't know what's coming up or what's left behind, right? So the same way in arts, fire is not only a tool to create and not only a tool to destroy. Because artists now, such as such as Alberto Bury, John Bogusian, Mariana Abramovich have been using fire by working hard. They've been like, for Alberto Bury, he burns plastic, wood, and paper to create art, where destruction is there, but it creates new textures to showcase transformation. Jean Berguson uses blow torches to burn canvas and paper, which shows the beauty created with the fire which is removed. So the light emerges, and then the dark patches because of the burning of the paper or canvas near them shows more intensity, a new transformation. So in art, both of them hold a very important meaning.
That actually does make sense. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, so connecting it to creation and destruction. Another example in Christian mythology for Lucifer, he was an angel, the light bringer, and he wanted the power just like all the gods. So for that, he um, he wanted all the knowledge that was there, but the gods realized, and then he was an angel, but he was thrown to the hell because he didn't have all of the knowledge. So this also shows that forbidden knowledge leads to downfall. And yeah.
Last thing I'd like to add, I think for mythology, it does talk more about it as creation, similar to the Prometheus story. And I actually agree to what you said in arts as well. But the thing about arts that I wanted to say was that it actually kind of depends on what kind of arts you're talking about. Because if you are to look at, say, actually making something like by hand, then it is more to do with creation. But if it has to do with, say, dance or music or something, it could also be destruction. There's this story about this artist called Tansen. So I had visited Agra a while back, and over there we had gone to this place where there was like a king's quarter, and it was a place where everybody could come and they could like say hello to the king, and like it was like a assembly kind of place. And over there was a small square with four other squares, and there was like water between them. So I was wondering what that was, and I was told that that was the stage where Tansen performed. Now Tansen was a singer, and it was said that whenever he used to sing, he would get so engrossed into the singing. He would become so, it would become so intense that he would actually get set on fire, and there would have to be someone who like cooled him down and like put water. So I think there are these stories that talk about how it's also used in destruction, but I think also it shows intensity. We'll close it. Last question I'd like to ask is that through the research that you've done, what is that one takeaway that you pick up, or what is that one thing that you will keep with you after this entire thing?
I think I'd researched about mythology, and specifically for knowledge and punishment. And but across researching, I realized that it's not just important to look at one topic that you're given, but to also explore the other domains, which can actually help you make connections to and it brings out many new facts that you might never know.
Like considering all the factors.
Yeah.
That's actually very useful in real life as well.
So I know I'll be taking time, but I would like to say two things. One, a question. So about mythology, that if you know, in Indian mythology, whenever kings used to fight over palaces or kingdoms, whichever king would lose, all the women of that kingdom would have to sacrifice themselves and go in the fire. So why is that so important?
So
Or why did they do that?
the thing of sati, right?
Yeah.
So sati was, I believe, it had to do with more of sacrifice and balance to, I think, keep the gender in balance of like the total population in terms of men and women. I'm not too sure about why sati is done, so I don't think answering it is the right answer. But I think it's also Johan,
Johar.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing which I learned while we talked, I feel fire has been seen as a physical form, a symbolic way, everywhere around us. Even like the studio where we are recording, there might be fire used to create the studio, or like in our day-to-day life. So how it has such a big role in creation and destruction both.
That's true. My takeaway from this entire thing is that at face value, something might seem in a certain manner, but then when you are to dive deep into it, you find colors of that particular thing and aspects of that thing you've researched on that you wouldn't have actually found otherwise. And this entire exercise also has helped me understand more about where some of the processes we do, where have they originated from, what's the purpose of it, because a lot of things we do, we don't really question why we do it, and I think this has helped me understand why.
I think this was a great podcast.
Experience.
Yeah.
Thank you both of
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.